This is a presentation to review the activity for examining the Reading Strand narrative summaries for each grade 3 through 11. The activity is found on the ELC portal on page 28 for Cohort 1 Materials Manual and page 24 for Cohort 2. The purpose of the activity is to provide strategies for participants to read and to identify key reading expectations at each grade level using manipulatives. Before we begin, you'll notice in your materials that you have the first paragraph of each of the grade level narrative summaries for grades 3 through 11. The strategy here today, shown in this presentation, involves examining the first paragraph, but certainly it will work well if a presenter finds it advantageous to use the full summary found in the model content frameworks. You also have a graph provided in your materials to do the same type activity using the chart if you should desire. This presentation, however, will demonstrate using manipulatives, in this case sentence strips, to record and display the progression of the reading content frameworks. Determine how you would like to divide the participants into groups. Groups of 3 work well for this activity. We use the popsicle stick connections as shown here. Groups may be formed using content-specific connections or just fun, recognizable sets of 3 like snap, crackle, and pop. Sentence strips should be prepared ahead of time. Make one strip each for each of the 4 categories. The first is how students should be able to read by the end of the year. Second is the ability to cite evidence. Third is specific skills related to reading. And fourth is the integration of text and ideas. You will also want to make the sample strips for 3rd grade to model the activity for your participants. The next step is to write on the flip chart page the text demands spelled out in the standards. Here's an example of the list for 3rd grade for literary text. Text requirements can be found at the end of each narrative in the frameworks following the chart. The text demands for 3rd grade are on page 16 in the model content frameworks. They are also found in the Common Core State Standards at the end of each grade level in Standard 10. In the trainer notes on the portal, you will see this sample chart for completing the model sentence strips along with the suggestion to have the categories on the same color strips. With preparations complete, presenters are ready to group participants and explain the directions. Each group will be given 1 grade level to examine and will have 4 sentence strips, 1 for each category. Each group will also get a sheet of flip chart paper to record the range of reading, or the text demands, for that grade level. When the groups have completed the categories, have them form a semicircle and display their findings. Have one member from each group read aloud the details from 4th through 11th grade. Ask participants to identify where the important shifts or jumps occur in these expectations and discuss at each level the increasing complexity of the reading requirements. After all categories have been presented, the presenter should have the participants post their strips in grade level order under the corresponding category. Solicit comments and ideas about the most significant shifts and what these shifts signify for teachers and vertical teams as they consider designing units and lessons. Here is a list of the page numbers for each grade level to locate the narrative summaries in the PARCC Model Content Frameworks document. As a review of the narrative summary activity, remember that it is important to consider the key points. First is the preparation of the sentence strips and flip chart for modeling the 3rd grade. Determine also how you want to form groups. Remind the participants of the purpose of the activity and then model using the 3rd grade information. Clarify the instructions and give participants ample time to complete the activity. Share findings and solicit observations and discussion concerning the changes from 1 grade level to the next. It is important to note that the value of this activity comes from the discussion generated and the observations of the participants. They will delve more deeply into the standards by doing this manipulative activity, as well as learn from each other as they work together in a fun, collaborative way.